Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be talking about Superman and Lois episode 3. I'm sure you noticed that things are a little out of spec or whatever as far as my usual videos. My chair broke, so I'm using some random one that I had also sitting in my office. But beyond that, let's just talk about the episode. And also, before we get into it, if you enjoy Superman Lois or you enjoy reviews, Walking Dead, things like that, please be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, of course, subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. But jumping in the episode for Superman Lois, episode 3, just another amazing episode. I can't express how much I enjoy this show, and just beyond bummed out that it's getting canceled and the CW is just going away as a whole, and just all of these superheroes and all these shows that we've had for so long are just going to be gone, and it's just an era of my life that's just going to be over, along with so many in the past and everything. But we're just losing such a great show, and just the story that they're being able to tell with this particular version of Superman. But anyways, with that said, we're going to jump to the episode. The episode was, like I said, it was overall very good, and the way that they're able to tell this part of the story and just the things that they're doing as far as, with the budget cuts, with them only having certain people be in certain episodes or just here and there, it's really, you can see how they're going to kind of eliminate some of that, or at least solve some of that budget problem, particularly with this episode. But getting into it, I mean, just we're in the aftermath of Superman dying, and the family and the friends of the family reacting to it, and just the things that the boys are going through. Jonathan especially. Jonathan is a train wreck for good reason. He's just very frustrated, and like I mentioned in one of my previous reviews for the premieres, you see throughout those first 2 episodes his frustration, his anger, everything building up. You can just see it behind his eyes. And it's just amazing the way that the actor was able to do it, and just gradually you can see him just becoming more and more infuriated with what's going on, with the fact that his dad's gone, with the way that Jordan is kind of showboating like he usually does ever since he got powers. And so it was really, it was just really good. And throughout this episode, we kind of see more of that, but we do get some surprises, which I really enjoyed, which I kind of called out to in my last review and just kind of hinted in that direction. But with this, we get into General Lane, and we do have flashbacks back and forth, like how Superman first revealed himself to General Lane. Him and Lois sat down with him, explained, he is Superman, and he's all the while kind of like, you're full of it, just look at you, but then he just takes off his glasses, which I thought was kind of silly, just taking off his glasses, and he's like, oh my god, I'm convinced. And so I just thought that part was kind of funny. These flashbacks back and forth with him explaining he is Superman, with him asking for Lois's hand in marriage and being reluctant to do so because he knows that it's going to put Lois in the line of fire basically with all of Superman's enemies, and if something were to happen to him, she would have to deal with that. She would have to find ways to be strong, and he doesn't want that for her. But in the end, he does, of course, accept it. He gives his blessing and walks Lois down the aisle and all of that, and we got flashbacks of Clark with his mom talking about the situation. But the episode, opens up with this funeral scene, and from the beginning, from this funeral scene, really no context, we're led to believe that it is for Superman, but actually turns out to be for someone else, as they reveal in the episode, and that's kind of the big twist and shock of the episode, and just how things are going to play out. But going through what they're going through, we have John Henry Irons and his daughter Natalie back in the picture, and they're kind of being recruited by Sam Lane to take Superman's place because everyone's kind of making peace with the fact that he is gone. They failed at their mission to get his heart back. Lois has since printed this story, The World Without Superman, and just everyone's coming to terms with the fact of what's happened, that their protector is gone. And Jordan kind of just wallowing in the fact that he failed to get his heart back, and he just sees himself as a failure. Him and Jonathan are also still butting heads over what happened and how Jordan handled it, and Jonathan just really gritting his teeth and really trying to hold back saying what he's feeling, but it doesn't go to plan, of course, because he just is so torn up about what's happened. He goes into the basement, I believe, of the house, or maybe the storm cellar of the barn or somewhere, where they store Clark's ship from when he arrived on Earth, and Jordan, of course, follows him down, trying to talk him down, trying to apologize for what's happened, and he's sorry that it turned out the way it did, and just Jonathan's not hearing any of it. And this is that scene that we got from the trailer that I was really interested to see how it got to this point, where it went, and just, it was a very well done scene. I really enjoyed it. Just Jonathan letting loose about his feelings and just the things that he's had to go through. The fact that his dad's gone, he's never going to see him again, and Jordan being just this wannabe hero basically, and he gets to a point where he just has to let the anger out, and he starts punching this pillar in this basement, and it actually breaks his hand, and he just is having this really big emotional moment, and he leans up against the ship, and I don't know if it's the ship or just this heightened emotional state that he's in that activates his powers. He just has a moment where he just has this big gasp of breath, and he can see X-ray through everything. You can see his hand is healing, and he has a moment of cold breath, and just all these powers hitting him all at once, because the next thing we see, he's flying around the house, and he's talking about how he's went to Metropolis and San Francisco, and just all of his powers just developed like that. While Jordan, it took months for every power to emerge, and just everything happened all at once, and he's just wanting to help. And of course, Jordan, this is one part of his characteristic, or just part of his personality, that I can't stand. He's really down with the pity party, and he sees now that Jonathan has abilities, and he's like, well, Jonathan can step in, everybody's waiting for this, just kind of being, oh, woe is me. And it's a really annoying personality trait for Jordan, and I can't stand it. Just is, so down on himself, and just kind of being a big baby basically. And it just gets worse from there, because as the episode progresses, we have Luther show back up on the Kent farm while Jonathan and Lois are going off to the DOD to be with Sam Lane, because Sam Lane is again offered to train Jonathan like he did with Jordan, but he doesn't want to hide it from Lois this time. And so they're having their meeting at the DOD, and they're really trying to figure out what they need to do, because they, like I mentioned, they had brought in John Henry and his daughter, knowing that they're the only two people that are really suited where they can go against Doomsday or go against Lex, or just be there to be at the, not so much beck and call, but just where they can be available to be on the defense for the DOD and for the rest of the world and for Smallville and everything. And so they're having these meetings, they're trying to bring them on board, and this is where we get Doomsday back in the picture. He's been sent there to kill Sam Lane, and he's there to finish the job. And the whole thing where Sam is the only one that knows where Lex's daughter is, because she made contact with him, and he promised that he would not tell anyone where she was, which included her father. She doesn't want anyone to know. She's completely shunned her father. And in that too, we also get the reveal of the person that Lex had flipped within the DOD, and it's just some random soldier, and he confronts Lane saying that you need to do what he says because he has threatened my family. And all the while too, like I mentioned, kind of Luther coming to the Kent farm, he's there to taunt Jordan with the recording of that phone call that we had last episode, where Lois had to choose what son to save by pressing whatever number, and he taunts Jordan with this recording showing that your mother has a favorite, and it's Jonathan. And just really getting under his skin again, and just playing on his insecurities and his pretty much lack of an ego. And so Jordan goes, confronts them at the DOD, throws his little tantrum, goes back home, and this is where Doomsday makes his appearance again. And it's after we discover the mole basically in the DOD that confronts Sam, and naturally he ends up getting Sam shot. And the whole time to the episode, there's this vial of this miracle medicine basically that Bruno Mannheim had used to save his wife, and it's mixed with Superman's blood. It's this compound that's made up from his blood. And after Sam's shot, he injects himself with it to heal himself and kind of bring him back in and kind of get Superman's blood in his system. And this was all kind of part of his plan. He wanted this serum to be a way to get a donor heart, basically, because they know a human heart's not going to work. It's just not going to be compatible for a lot of reasons. And so they're basically taking a heart and taking a person and turning them into a compatible heart. And so he's in this moment, he takes the serum, and he kind of sets this all up where Doomsday arrives at the DOD, strictly there to kill Sam Lane or get the information. Sam won't give it up. Doomsday kills him, and that's the end of Sam Lane. And that kind of eases some of the budget, I think, for the show. And of course, just everyone's devastated, and this is where the hope is kind of rekindled that this is a deal that Sam had made with John Henry. This is how it's going to go down. I want you to take my body to the fortress after this happens because you only have so long. And he volunteers himself up to be the new donor heart for Superman. And of course, the episode closes with Superman opening his eyes after everything has happened, after this heart's been transplanted into him when they weren't 100% sure it was going to work in the first place. So all in all, again, great episode. I enjoyed the shit out of it. It's just really unfortunate that it has to go this way and we're getting a shortened season. And the CW is just going to be a shell of what it used to be. But I'm happy to see that we at least get this final act of this universe, or I guess multiverse, because everything's just been so everywhere, basically. You know, not everything's conceived in one universe anymore, but or just the way they're closing it all out. It's doing it in a way that I think that will be satisfying, but still disappointing at the same time, where we know that this isn't going to come back, especially after Jonathan finally has his abilities. He's not going to come back. They're not going to do anything else unless by some miracle, it may not be anytime soon, but we get, not so much a reboot, but a revival of this world or of this universe, just depending, I think, what a lot of these actors that have been involved, what they want to do, because there's always been the question, will Stephen Amell ever come back and do any more Arrow? But you have to take into consideration the man's getting older, and that's very hard on his body. I mean, yes, he's only, I think, in his early 40s, but just the stunt work alone, the things that he had to do, how in shape he had to be and everything, there's just always the question, will any of these people ever come back, do maybe a TV movie? I think that's been like the one stipulation that he has to come back into this world, because he's talked about it in podcasts and whatnot, where he would come back if, I think his name's Greg Berlanti or something to that effect, would get a hold of him, and they've talked about it, and just, there's always the chance, I think, that we will see these people back together once again, but it's still, at this point, I think it's 50-50, where we just don't know yet. But anyways, guys, that is my review for episode 3 of Superman and Lois. Another great episode, and, we're inching closer to the finish line of this show and of this world and everything, but I think they're going to do it in a way that we're all going to be pretty happy about, regardless of the fact that it is the last of it, and we're not going to get any more after this, but I think we're in for a treat, honestly. But again, if you enjoyed the video, you enjoyed my breakdown, my thoughts about the show, please be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers, and I will see you next time. So take care. Bye.